Okay, so it's working. That's what we really wanted to do. To get it to work. Yes, I'm ruining your childhood right now by calling Link fucker. So every time people talk to me, they will indirectly insult me at the same time. Okay, so I know I gotta get a sword. What I can actually do now is go up there. Now, since there's people here, this is definitely something that I absolutely love from my childhood. This is Mario 64. Actually, no, the first 3D game I think I ever played, fully 3D, was Crash Bandicoot. Didn't have a Saturn, I had a PlayStation. This was the first time I ever played it. This is the second time, not the first time. I believe this is the second... No. This game came out much later than Mario 64. So this wasn't even the second game that I played as a kid. Or second fully 3D Nintendo game I played as a kid. But this was one of the big ones. This one kinda helped to change the face of gaming. I wouldn't say it was a defining factor. This game tops a lot of people's favorite games of all time list. This is in the top 100. I believe maybe it's in the top 20? But I liked Majora's Mask better for its story. Hold on a second. Oh, yeah, you have to actually equip it. This is a little weird using a Xbox One controller for a Nintendo game, but I'll get used to it. Alright, so I wanted to, like, talk about a bunch of things about this while I'm playing it. Especially since there's no voice acting, so there's nothing that we really have to pay attention to much. But after running around like a chicken with its head cut off trying to find another N64 controller that wasn't broken, and being unsuccessful in that, I'm a little frazzled at the moment. I didn't expect the analog stick to not work on that. I even bought that little... It was only 15 bucks, but I even bought that little device just so I could do this, and it ended up not working. If I can't find one of my controllers, I might see about buying a, second-hand one. Alright, I need some money to get a shield. Okay, none of these guys will help me. Now, I will, something that I can think of to talk about this game. This is probably, and it's a thing with most Nintendo games as far as like speedrunning is concerned. There are a lot of N64 games, a lot of Nintendo games that you can outright break. And N64, I actually learned about this through Hellfire Comms. They're a great YouTube channel, I recommend them. Oh. Over here with Z. So great that you finally have a fairy department. I already know all this. A lot of what they've talked about. Speedrunners have become very adept to breaking Nintendo games, and I've mentioned this before when I've talked with other people about this game, you know, and like other streams too when I've been talking with them. This game can be broken and beaten in 10 minutes. I actually thought that you could only do that in a task run, a full-assisted speedrun. But apparently that's not the case. People are actually able to break this game and beat it in like 15 and 20 minutes without full assist. I think it all comes down to timing. And when I actually get to that boss, I'll tell you how. Alright, now with this first part, all you have to do is just find enough rupees. Hello, Rosie. Oh yeah, Z. I don't think I told you. I ended my WoW sub. Last day of the sub is on the 26th, but I have not logged in since canceling my subscription. I will not be playing WoW anymore. I'll check out the next expansion and see that it's worth it, but hello, Leaf. You have Rosie to thank for breaking your son. I will not be playing WoW anymore. I will probably check out the next expansion and see how that is. If it impresses me enough, then I might go back to streaming. I don't know about raiding. But for the foreseeable future, I won't stream WoW anymore. So one thing you can do if you find yourself still short on rupees and you've exhausted all of your... This is pretty standard in most video games, though. Oh, and I actually just got enough. You can just enter and leave a building and everything will respawn. Like all the plants, all the rocks. Now, the reason why I had to do this was because you need both a sword and a shield to get past Mito. Slow text, I do not miss that. Standard in every Zelda game, too, is that, you will pretty much get a new piece of loot. Like a new weapon, a new item. They introduce those and use those as gimmicks for the dungeons that you find them in. Depending on the game that you're playing, they'll continue to use them in a certain way. Oh wait, I think I actually have to equip the sword. Or the, shield. Otherwise he won't let me through. Ido is a little jerk, too. He has his reasons for being that way, though. Yep, I have to actually equip the damn thing. Yeah, I agree, and Tanan Jungle is very underwhelming. Like, I just don't have time to just grind with no real goal. Because flying's not really a goal. We're pretty much getting something that we always had in previous expansions, but they decided to... Oh. I actually never knew you could do that. It's the whole time. Alright. Oh crap. You know what? I'm actually gonna map Z button to 2 buttons. Because I don't use my left bumper. If I can. I don't think it'll let you map the Z trigger to 2 buttons. But you know what? I'm gonna put it to my left bumper. There. And this is how we get Deku sticks. Now there's something about these sticks that I actually never knew when I played this. I found this out through Hellfire Comms too. Now these sticks, if you use them as a weapon, they're one-time use. The interesting thing about these is that their power is the equivalent to the Master Sword. So you actually have something that can seriously damage enemies right off the bat. The only thing is, because it's a limited use, you're still gonna have to be smart with it. I'm doing good, Rosie. I hope you are too. Ah, hello, Lilac. Oh, I won't skip this for everyone. I won't skip this story. I remember the music in this game, obviously, it's great. Almost every piece of music in the Zelda series has always been great. Occasionally they've been annoying or underwhelming, but for the most part it's always impressive, always epic, always elaborate. Not Final Fantasy elaborate, but you get my point. And they always kind of have like a certain new theme that that kind of like sets the mood for how the rest of the game is going to be. Zelda Symphony, yeah, they I've known about those. I don't think you've ever heard of, I've been to, not Zelda Symphony, but I've been to one that's like that for video games, called Video Games Live. I've mentioned that before, too. A music composer that mainly does video games, Tommy Tellerico, he's the one that founded the organization that does that. Video Games Live, he's the one that created the whole thing. Him, and I think along with a few other people, but he's the most notable because he's the one that I've known about. I pretty much know the story off the top of my head, like I didn't really have to pay attention to that. Essentially, something's killing the Deku tree from the inside, and he's also kind of using this as a bit of a test for you. Yeah. Here's a new item. Also, it's cool to see Leon play this for the first time as well. I think he's using an actual N64, though. The thing that I've noticed is if you're doing an actual capture on an N64 or any of these old consoles, they actually look a little blurry when you stream it. I'm actually doing this through an emulator. Like I said, I own an N64 and I own Ocarina of Time. So what I'm doing here is legit. Yeah, I'll actually show you. Oh, actually, if you kill them and they do that, they actually give you a Deku stick instead of the nuts. Nuts are good for stuns. Sticks are good for both lighting torches and to attack with. And like I said, their power is equivalent to the Master Sword. They're doing Pokemon this time. I've never been a big fan of. I played the, like, first series of that, like, Red and Blue. I had Red, my sister had Blue. I also got Yellow. I stopped at Yellow. You all know what the map does. But here, I'll show you real quick. Gives you an outline for how the rest of the floor is going to be. Now, I can't actually kill those things yet. Keep having to remember Z target is this. Yes, I actually mentioned that before you got here, but I used to use a guide for this game. This time, though, I'm going to use I'm going to go into this blind. I can remember most of what I've done in this game because I beat it on multiple occasions. Jump off a cliff. They just give you tips. This first dungeon, this is a decent way of actually doing a tutorial for a game like this. The first dungeon is essentially the tutorial. They'll tell you what to do as you're going through it. It feels like you're accomplishing something while at the same time you're learning the game. So it doesn't feel like it's too slow, it doesn't feel boring because you're actually getting something accomplished. Some people actually don't they'll actually complain and say they don't understand why people use guides for games like these because some of the fun is finding out the stuff on your own. Now, when I was a kid, that thought never ran through my mind because we always used to get, like, the magazines. We got, like, Nintendo Power, so sometimes they would have guides to games that we play in them. Like, the guide that we had for this game, I think, was made by Brady Games. And because I got this game for Christmas as a kid, my parents also bought us the guide, too. So, it never really occurred to us to not use a guide and to figure it out on my own and to have fun with that, because since we always had the guide, we just kind of figured, well, why not use it? But later on, in some of the games that I had guides for, I would actually try and discover the game on my own, and then if I got stuck, I would use a guide. That was around the time where the internet was actually a lot more of a thing than it was, and people were starting to upload their own guides on GameFAQs. So you didn't really even need to buy one in a store. You had people online that would do the work for you. GameFAQs is still around today. So people still use them all the time. Now this first dungeon, for me, is going to feel relatively easy. Because I think at this point I have this whole... Oh, this is inverted. Wonder if I can... There's no way I can change that. Damn it. Now, in video games, I've always been used to, It's actually interesting that I got used to, like, normal controls rather than inverted when you're in that first-person view, because, one of the first-person shooters I ever played, well, outside of, like, Wolfenstein 3D and Doom, they didn't really count because they were on PC. Plus, you didn't have the Y-axis. In those games, all you had was the X-axis. But when there started to become, like, 3D shooters... I actually never... They had 3D first-person shooters on PlayStation, but I didn't actually play any until GoldenEye 007 on the N64. I don't know if you can change the controls in that, but by default they're inverted, so that's why a lot of people tend to prefer inverted Y-axis, because that's how they've always done it, because they, like, GoldenEye or like an equivalent was like their first game they've ever played. Me, however, I've adjusted it to normal Y-axis. So if I'm playing a first-person shooter with a controller, it's not inverted for me. It's actually normal. Actually gonna save. Now, if you don't take out those Skulltulas, they will knock you off. But that's pretty self-explanatory. And you could try and avoid them, and you might be successful, but it's much easier just to kill them. Actually, you can either do it that way, or you can hit him like that. If you get too close to him, though, he'll hit you. Actually, you can jump all the way down there. This is what you're supposed to do, actually. From this height, you're supposed to jump onto that, and you'll go through it. But I'm not doing that just yet. This is where you're supposed to use this. But actually, I want to kill this thing first. And that's an example of how powerful that Deku stick is. See, if I were to use the slingshot or my Kokiri sword, that would take 2 hits. Deku stick only took 1. Now this is a collectible in this game. Find those gold Skulltulas all over the world. The more you find, there is a family in Kakariko Village that will get turned into, and I'm spoiling it already. But most people know about this, so I don't mind. The more you collect those things, the more that family will go from those Skulltulas and turn into humans, and they'll give you something for helping them. There's a story behind them, too. That one I won't spoil. That's actually a very decent story. It actually unlocks the door, I believe. Yep. you don't want to lose your Deku stick after you lit it up, you can actually put it out by drawing your sword. It's a minor thing, though. Minor quip to the story. Now, see what that compass did? And there's now reticles. And also it shows you how many Skulltulas you got. Also shows you where the boss is and any treasures you might have missed. Yeah, that's typically how I am too. Someone tells me something, unless I really concentrate, then I'll forget it, like, soon. Or if it's not important, then I'll just, like, forget it. And there we go. Actually, 2 of them in here. I'm not going to go out of my way and get them. They're forgivable with the hitbox, thankfully. This is like all second nature at this point. Like, I didn't look at a guide or anything before I was doing this. Like I said, I've played this game. I've probably beaten it at least 3 times, and I've attempted to play it at least probably 10. So, a lot of the stuff that you see me doing here is all second nature to me. I remember where it is. But I don't remember, like, a lot of the collectibles, like the heart pieces and all that. Not all of them I'll remember off the top of my head, I guarantee it. So I won't be able to get all of them in that aspect. I would need a guide for that. And maybe some of the puzzles I may have to just, like, go in, dust out the cobwebs that is my brain, and find, and, try and remember what to do. This is the one that tells you the code. Now, if I didn't bother with this, I already knew that, because of the... I always remembered that little, that little thing he tells you to remember it. 231, 23 is number 1. You'll find, and obviously we're gonna find out what it's used for. I have to get used to the fact that it's inverted. It's bothering me so much, though, and I can't change it. Oh, yeah. Give you plenty of time for this. Oops. Shit. Told you. They give you plenty of time for that. It's the first dungeon, so they're always going to go easy on you. Oh, you don't have to hold it in. Oop. Well, that's what happens when you get too close. Yeah, in this game, I think this is the first time in Zelda where you actually don't carry that many rupees. Like, your maximum amount that you can actually cap at is 500, and that's if you get the Giant's Wallet. I think that's what it is. I don't know if it's called the Giant's or the Master's Wallet. That's one of the, rewards you get from Gold Skulltulas, which I'm not gonna do, because I don't really need it. I'm actually gonna wait for him to come back down. Come on. Oh, come on. Really gonna take me 4 hits? Can I not kill him this way? There we go. I wanted to get more nuts. You can actually farm these here if you want, because they'll eventually respawn, because you see their little plant thing is there. They did this in case you screw up on this part. You won't be left naked in the breeze. The walnuts? Here, I'll show you. Oh, I can't show you on these guys. But you saw what I did with them. Those nuts, they're called Deku nuts. And on conventional enemies, for some reason you can't use it on them. You really not use it on them? No, you can't. They are supposed to act as a stun. Oh, I remember this room. It's an interesting thing with these eggs that you see up here. You want to get them right away. Actually, you know what? Here, I'll show you what happens when you let them fall. These things come out. Oh, and Navi can actually tell you what they are. Homo larva. Cool looking things, too. So that's the thing you can do with Navi. If you want to figure out how to kill something, Navi will give you a hint how to. Sometimes she won't be of any help because she won't know. That typically does not happen until later in the game. Oh, yes. And this is what I did before. Actually do that for here to get back if you want to. Hello, Leaf. Yeah, this is the first dungeon. Yes, if you go into Z targeting, this is what speedrunners tend to do. Just a little side note. I am no speedrunner. I will never speedrun. So, we'll go at this at my pace. Why can't I go through there? Maybe I'm overthinking this. Oops. Does this thing have to die? Oh. Or maybe I actually do have to go back this way. Oh yes, I do. Good, what's actually in there? It seemed like there was anything in there. Maybe that was the way I came. No, that wasn't the way I came. I do have this for N64, but this is an emulator. Oh, hello, Kuzel. Welcome. Haven't seen you in a while. No. I have to do this. That's a good way. Always do Z targeting to center yourself. That will, ever play this game and you really need to see what you're doing, always do that. It's 2. Remember that code that we got earlier? This is where you use it. No, you don't have to. I guess you're not very loyal to your queen. Now, this is where you do that, glitch. Where you beat Legend of Zelda in 10 minutes. What you do is, from what I watched, you beat her, or... I'm trying to think. When I watched that YouTube video, I think what they did is, they beat her, save the game, and it all has to do with timing. They beat her, save the game, they use that, they have to beat her again, use the teleporter, and then there's a certain... I could be completely wrong in saying this, but look it up. It's actually very interesting if you haven't. You do have to beat Goma, and then there's something with the teleport. There is like a transition from the teleport to the next scene where it will bring you to the final part of the game, where you're actually running out of Ganon's tower. I'm just gonna tell you now, I'm probably gonna talk about spoilers galore while I'm playing this, because there's no way around it. This game is so old, and I want to be able to talk about anything that I want. So, forewarning right now, if for some reason you just do not want to know the ending to this game, or spoilers in most of the Zelda games from, Wind Waker back, then you probably don't want to watch. But I don't think I'll have a problem with that, because if you don't know, if you haven't played this before, someone's probably spoiled it for you already anyway. But still, even if you know the end of the game, I would still recommend playing this, because it's a fun game and a great experience. And this is an excellent point I actually have to look up. This is video game history. This is literally, if you were ever interested in games to know about history and landmarks in that time, this is one of the games that you're going to want to play. I'm doing this way too slow. Alright, if you find yourself getting low on health, there's little plants over there. Actually... actually screwing this up. You can get to those before they even hatch. You can also hit those with your sword too, but faster to do it that way. It's a very straightforward boss, but this is your first time ever playing a game like this. It's actually a little hard. You can actually shoot him out of the top of the, You can actually shoot him off the ceiling. You're fast enough. His eye has to be red, though. This is taking a lot of hits. I wonder if in this version, stick is actually less effective. Alright, I thought I hit him. There we go. Yes, this is in my top 100. I've actually been making a list of, since I can't really pinpoint, I can't really recall off the top of my head, my 100 best, my 100 favorite. I've been putting it down in a Word document. I've just been thinking them as I've been, like, going along. This is in the top 30. Majora's Mask is in my top 10, though. I adored that game. Well, technically, it's not a top 100 yet. I think I'm, like, around 40-something right now. Well done, fucker. Time is it right now? played a lot of games in my time, though. A lot. Playing games since I was a kid, and I have no... there is no way I will ever slow down. Well, maybe if life gets in the way, but... Still, listen, I guess I have to. It's interesting that this is the first time I think I've ever heard Ganondorf's backstory. I don't think they've ever went this in-depth. The 3 previous games in the series... I think Link's Awakening was before this, actually, so the previous 4 games in the series. Ganon wasn't in Link's Awakening, though. But, they've never really gone into depth. Backstory for Ganon. Actually, this is the first time they've ever really concentrated on story like this. I mean, it kind of did a little in Link's Awakening, but this was even more so. They do have a little bit of backstory in the instruction manuals in the previous games. Get a better understanding of the story, but this is where it was really displayed in-game as well. And it's still a lot more in-depth than they were in the instruction manuals. Yeah, I don't know what this is. Everybody really seems to hate me. What version of this game do I have? Everybody is just calling me a fucker. How rude. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's actually just popped into my head. Like with Metal Gear Solid, I'm pretty sure Assassin's Creed had referenced Zelda in one thing, because I just sworn I saw one. Maybe I was thinking too much into it. And I think it was in 2. But, you'll find that if you've played these games for as long as I have, not even for as long as I have, if you're younger and you go back and play these and you enjoy them because you're very much a video game enthusiast, and you like to see where all the new games you're playing are coming from and what they're inspired by, if you're playing new games, sometimes you might even see them reference games like this. Like, I've even mentioned before that there is a Legend of Zelda reference in, there's actually a whole quest line. There's specifically a character that they reference the Legend of Zelda to in, World of Warcraft, and that's, the character Lincoln. I believe the quest line was that he had, amnesia, you had to get his sword and shield. It's oddly enough, though, they didn't make him a high elf, and they were available at the time because that questline was in vanilla. So they had high elf models, but they ended up making Lincoln a gnome. Don't ask me why. I guess maybe they didn't want to make the reference too obvious. But you're calling your character Lincoln, so I don't know how much more obvious you can get. And they gave him green armor. And you're looking for his sword and shield. So how much more obvious can you actually get? I don't typically do this either. Like, give Link a joke name. Usually I would either just use my real name or a name that I like. I wouldn't usually... I wouldn't normally use Link, though. Like, I remember, I really like the name Gino, so sometimes I would name Link that. Now, I won't really be talking too much about the story itself. I know all of this. Most people already know the story to this, so... Ow, Navi. Language. But I do remember this, the first time I played this, I was actually amazed at how sad that was. I've never really known anything to be that, like, depressing in a video game before. That was actually very moving the first time I played it. I was like, wow, he died. And, like, I've watched different YouTubers and streamers, like, really go into depth about not only what the story establishes, but also their assumptions on, or their logic as to what actually happened, or what could potentially happen, like the consequences for all the actions, the things that you do in games like this. And it's really cool to get their perspective, because it's something that I never really think about, or I never really thought about when I was younger, but it's fun to think about when you're older. Some people get annoyed that you read too much into things like that. I don't get annoyed when people read into things, but what I get annoyed by is when people read into things and think that it's fact, that that's what they meant to do, and either, oh my god, that's incredible, I can't believe it, or they go, oh my god, that's horrible, I can't believe kids are playing this. People do that all the time, especially online, and that's what boils my blood. Not the fact that people read into it, but people actually think that that's the actual message. Most of the time, developers kind of leave it open-ended, so you can kind of take your own experience out of it. Like, you can get your own meaning from it, I mean. That's what I think you should do with games overall. Like, even if the developers have a specific reasoning for what they do, getting your own value out of your own experience, I think, is what's most worth it. But people have their own experiences with video games, so I don't think anyone else's is more or less valid. But you still gotta take the game developer's original intent to heart as well. Because they're the ones that made the game. It's very complicated, but... not complicated, that's a poor choice of words. It's a lot to think about, let's say. Now, I believe that Link's Awakening did come before this, so this was not the first time that... actually, Link to the Past, I forgot. It had an Ocarina in it. So that was the first game where the Ocarina actually appeared. It was the SNES release of Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. But the only purpose that the Ocarina served in Link to the Past was for traveling, which they actually revisit in Majora's Mask. Technically, they have it in this game too, but you don't get to choose where to go. The song that you play brings you to that place. The owl in this game is also not a new concept. You'll see him in a second. The first time that I think that owl was introduced was Link's Awakening. I don't believe it's the same owl, either. There's actually... Hold on. Jesus. I hate it when my ear just itches out of nowhere. Sorry about that. But, there's some speculation that... Oh my god. Oh, there he is. Now, you can skip this. But I think... Well, I haven't read it in a while, and plus, I'm streaming it, so... Let's actually read it. There's this misconception that owls are actually very intelligent just because of how they look. I'm sure most people know this by now. Owls are actually completely the opposite of intelligent. They are actually very dumb animals. Now, look at this. I can't tell you how many times I've accidentally pressed no and I have to read that all over again. Because they do the switch. This is the only time that I think I know of off the top of my head where no is actually the first choice. This actually blew my mind first time I played this, because it just feels like you play this now and you kind of think to yourself, wow, this world looks really empty. The first time I actually played this and got out of this world, I mean, A Link to the Past is pretty big, but it didn't feel big like this did. But yeah, these, skeleton children, called Stall Child, actually. They actually scared me as a kid. They do look frightening, but they ain't no thing. Also, if you kill enough of them, you'll actually get a big one appearing. That will appear. Appearing. I gotta wait until daytime anyway. Now, I'm just gonna show you this real quick. There would be music here if it were daytime. I can't really do anything here right now, especially since it's night. There is a song that you can get here. This is actually where this song originated from. You can't do anything right now. There's also something else that you can do in here, but you can't actually do it yet because there's something else you have to do. I actually haven't been up here in a very long time. There's really no reason to come up here. I'm just kind of like showing you around right now. But I'm also... There's a little... There's something special that happens with those chickens in every Legend of Zelda that I've played. I'm not sure if it happens in every single one that they've made. If you hit a chicken enough, a swarm of chickens will come attacking you. And the only way you can get them to stop is by transitioning to another scene, like opening a door or something like that. There is actually somebody in here. And you know what's interesting about these characters, too? Ingo and Talon. This horse is in here. Notice how Ingo is kind of like wearing green there? It's kind of an indirect reference to Mario and Luigi. As soon as daytime comes around, those things will die. They're very easy to avoid, though. And the overworld theme, which is the theme to Legend of Zelda in general. I'll show you this real quick. This is not a very efficient way to get rings. Rupees. At the moment, though, it is. Because there's no better way to get them. Plus, you can't do a magic spin yet. Brother got this console for Christmas, but my cousins had came into town from Korea. So when we came home, they opened the console and we were playing Super Mario or something. Yeah, most likely Mario 64. If you got the N64, like, the year that it came out. Everybody got that. Now, some people actually don't know about this area. There's a back alley that you can go down. Mysterious fountain. Gee, I wonder what's in that fountain. Why am I so tongue-tied today? Now these textures look sickening. Because this game's not supposed to be played at this resolution. So the character models look clear, but this background looks very grainy. Guess you can actually go all the way back here, too. Which is actually... It's actually better if you play this on the console through a capture device rather than through an emulator. Because, like I said, I think that's how Leon's doing it, because the game itself looks a little blurry because of the lower resolution. These backgrounds are actually JPEG backgrounds. They're images. And it's kind of done in the same way that Resident Evil used to do, how they handled their game. It would, there was actually no 3D animated world. It was your character running around on it, but is essentially a picture with different foregrounds and backgrounds. So it was like several JPEG or images that your 3D model is running around. And if you're playing it on a much higher resolution like I am, the JPEG images, because they don't scale, they actually look very grainy. And you can actually see the cutoff point for some of them there. Actually, I don't want to skip what he says. This door does not open. Now, I'm not going to do this. You can get a heart piece from there. Actually, I think you can get a bigger... You can get a bigger slingshot, Maybe I'm thinking of a bigger quiver. Here is one of the creepiest characters they've ever made in the game, and he's not here right now. Right now, I'm just going around showing you all the stuff that you can actually do. They have an actual shop here, too. I don't have any, models just yet, so I can't really buy anything here. The ultimate medicine is just the blue medicine. It heals both magic and hearts. Now, you can buy this Hylian shield here, but you don't have to. You can actually get it for free, and I'll show you how to do that in a bit. You can't get it here. Now her you have to talk to. Now, she's supposed to give you something, but not right away. What you can do is talk to the owl with his head upside down. Hey, fucker, this way. They changed it up on you again. He asked the question differently this time. Do you want to hear what I said again? No. I believe you can go back and she is gone. I remember. There she is. Now, the first time I played this, I didn't look at the guide, so I was actually running around with my head between my legs, wondering what the hell I'm actually supposed to be doing. Because I can't progress. And then when I finally came back here again, I saw her. Now, there's a little bit of waiting involved. You have to wait a day so this thing hatches in order to use it to wake up her father. Wow. Talk about elitist. Just gonna waste a little bit of time first. Like I said, we have to wait. You literally just have to wait. I mean, you can actually go to where you need to go, but you still have to wait for night and day. For night and then the next day to appear. Those will come into play later. Can't hit them, though. If you hit them, they tell you the time. I actually forgot about that. Now, if I had bombs, I could go there, but I don't. Because I actually think I need to get a bomb bag. And I get that in Dodongo's Cavern. And you don't necessarily have to go down there, I just wanted to see if there was something there. Dead end. Or is it? This is not nearly as bad as any of the current stealth games are, like Assassin's Creed. It's actually fairly easy to get around these brain-dead guards who do not see a little kid running around at the corner of their eye. Thankfully, time passes pretty fast. I always do this just in case, but I'm not sure if you actually have to go off the water. Mumble mumble. So Mario talks in his sleep. Okay, I'll get things set up. Now, when you save, it's not like most games where it will put you back where it will actually put you back where you were. What it does is it brings you back to, it brings you back to where you first started. In the game, I mean. Kokiri Forest. I don't know why I forgot the name of it. Your home in Kokiri Forest. Now, everything you did is saved when you did that. But your location just isn't. Now, if you start in a dungeon, and you save and quit, that's where you start, is the beginning of the dungeon. There we go, that wasn't that, didn't take that long. I like how he's scared of how his own child is going to react to him. That run. Now, I've seen speedrunners set this up early, which you can do if you want. I never saw too much of a point to it. What do you want, Navi? It's kind of what I'm doing, Navi. Now this part, I can still screw up sometimes if I'm too impatient. This is more sneaking around. But they don't trick you with this. It's not random, they're always in a fixed pattern for where they run. All you have to do is just be patient and wait. Like, he will never turn around and find me. He will just go right. So, if you want to sit here if you're playing this for the first time and you're sitting here for a few minutes, and you want to see what their pattern is, you're able to do that. Technically, you don't have to do it this way. If you want to be careful, you can. So, that's actually a red herring right there. They want you to get caught. You will always get caught if you try and go for those rupees. It also doesn't matter how much noise you make. Like, if Link jumps off and he, like, does his normal shouting, that does not attract attention. Oops. I told you, I still screw up once or twice when I play this. I actually forgot, you gotta wait a little while. That part. If you want to try and go back around here, don't do that. You're making it overly complicated for yourself. I remember once when I did this, I accidentally pressed up and I jumped off. And I somehow did not get caught. As long as you don't touch them, you're fine. Remember, just wait, be patient. He will not turn around. Oh, I know this is a pain for speedrunners too, because they want to do this as fast as possible. I don't remember, because I've watched speedruns of this before. I don't remember if there's a way to cheese that. Oh, yes. Everyone has to do this at least once. It just gives you money. Watch what happens when you go over here. Try and do that. He throws a bomb. Oh yes, looking back over here though. Adds a little, Easter egg. See Mario, Yoshi. There's a few other things there, too. There's a Peach one. I wonder if there's any more. Yep, there's Luigi. I think that's it. Yeah. Of course, Luigi's all the way over the side. It's interesting that Link actually used to have brown hair, and I think it was Link to the Past where they actually made him a blonde, and he's been blonde ever since. He was also brown. He also had brown hair in the American TV show, Super Mario Brothers Super Show, that sometimes it would have like Legend of Zelda shorts in them. And Link was brown-haired in that. He was also a cocky bastard. That's, if you ever see like YouTube poop or something like that, or like memes, the line that you might have heard from it is, "Excuse me, princess." That's where that came from. It's a Super Mario Brothers Super Show, the Legend of Zelda shorts that they played during that. They've never actually made Link talk officially in any of the games. He just kind of grunts and stuff. What's interesting is that Zelda was a blonde up until this game. But from Twilight Princess on, as far as I'm aware, she's a brunette. I know in Twilight Princess she's a brunette. No, actually, she's a blonde in Wind Waker. Wind Waker was before Twilight Princess, so... just interesting how that works. Actually, I don't know what her hair color is in Skyward Sword. I think it's still brown, though. It's just a little interesting piece of trivia. I've never actually played Skyward Sword, so I'm not 100% sure. I've watched some gameplay of it. I don't know, it's just an aesthetic choice more than anything. You can actually say no there, and it won't, like, ruin anything. She'll just keep asking you, and it'll be in a loop until you finally say yes. She's actually taller than you here. Now that could mean multiple things. It could just mean that maybe she's just taller than you, maybe she's wearing heels here. Maybe she's actually older than you. Like maybe a year or two older. Be anyone's guess. You never really know their ages. Like, hey. Strange, it sounds somehow familiar. Gee, did someone call you that before? Okay then, fucker. True. I actually forgot about that. Some green-ass eyebrows, yeah. I think they're meant to be blonde, but... You can't skip through this either, you have to just let it play out. Like you can't press a button to let it proceed, so if you miss something, you're screwed. course, in this day and age, if you miss something, you can just watch a YouTube video. But back then, it would be a pain in the butt. She's just essentially telling you what you have to do next. And, I actually watched someone recently, like, do a, like, an analysis of, like, the first 2 Legend of Zeldas. I actually didn't realize how little direction that they give you in those first 2 games. Yes. Like I said, when I was a kid, I would always have, like, a Nintendo Power or an actual, like, official guide to play, like, all these different games. So, in terms of what I had to do, I was never in doubt. I always knew what to do. But if you didn't have the manual, because the manual would kind of give you, like, an idea of what you had to do. Like, it would have story and stuff like that. But if you didn't have that manual, like, say you bought it used at a yard sale, and you didn't have a player's guide, and you didn't think that you could look it up online, or it was before that time where you could just do that. It's the first time I ever actually saw Ganon in his human form. This is the first time I think he ever actually had a human form, as far as I'm aware. I don't think if him being a Gerudo, I actually used to think it was pronounced Gerudo. But it's Gerudo, as far as I'm aware. Now, the rumble's not working on my, my controller. It was supposed to rumble there. Now, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah, there's a very huge lack of direction in the first 2 Zelda games. In A Link to the Past, they did a much better job of explaining things to you in the game and telling you where to go. I think it's mainly because the first 2 games were more about exploration and finding things out on your own more than anything. That was the time sink. You had to find out on your own where to go next. They gave you subtle hints. Again, if you say I don't believe you, you're just gonna keep going into that loop. But I always thought when she makes that happy face, I thought that was like one of the most like adorable things I ever saw in video games. Yeah, I did that on purpose. It's not an original idea. I saw a picture that I saw a picture on Google Images that did the same thing. I figured I'd do it myself. This letter is Princess Zelda's autograph. I can show it to people. They can't steal it from me because gameplay mechanics. True. Still gotta watch the time. Back when polygons weren't very smooth, chest area for women was never actually done very well. So they ended up looking very, very pointy. So pointy that it looks like they could put an eye out if they ever got close to you. I don't know why you hang out here, Z. I'm perplexed myself, but I'm glad that you do. I know I can. I just don't say it all the time because, hey, I like being, varied. Keeps things fresh. Trust me, I know practically every way to say the word boobs. Impa's actually supposed to be an old woman. She has white hair in this game, but she doesn't look old. So I always found that a little perplexing. Can she teach me how to do that? I'm gonna throw a Deku nut and disappear. Oh yeah, actually, let's see if I can get here before nightfall. So we can get the song. Actually, I think we can do this little mini-game here. Yep. A good way to tell which one's which, you can see what direction it'll go into. You don't just fly in random directions, then they'll be in some random place on the floor. Where they fly is where they'll actually land. Very, very easy game. Sure, I like redheads. That gives you milk right off the bat, but Sorry, had a little itch. That is how you get the first bottle. Or you can get the first bottle from him. Now, there's something else that you can do here, too. Oh, horse! Horse! I always thought that was a cool fade-in when I first played this. When you got closer, her singing was actually would get more and more louder. There we go. Yeah, you just have to get through some other conversation, then you pull out your ocarina and you learn the song. You can get this song at any time too, but it's always best to get it out of the way first. Apparently, like, playing the HD version of this, because I watched Hellfire commentaries, again, I recommend them. They did a playthrough, they do commentary over it as well. But, it's not like a Let's Play, they actually, like, they do what I'm trying to do here, like, educate you a little bit on the game itself, my experiences, origins of certain things that you see in the game. They do it better than I do, but I do it on stream, so it's all improv for me. But I was watching the HD version of their playthrough of this. They actually really hate how they handled the Ocarina in the HD version, because it's on the 3DS. And it's really, really awkward from what I heard. Like, even on my Xbox One controller, this is easy to understand, because I just use the, I map the C buttons to this, thumbstick.